Okay, so welcome to the May recipe demo. So we are going to be doing the master mix recipe today. And this is like a replacement if you've ever used those baking mixes like Bisquick. This is going to be something similar to that. So if you have the calendar, you can find the recipe there. If you don't have a calendar yet, we have a bunch of them at the extension office. So you are welcome to stop by anytime and pick one up. Otherwise, I also post this recipe on the Facebook page if you want to go back and look at it on there too. So we're going to be making the master mix pancakes. So we're going to do the mix first, and then I'm going to do a couple of variations on flavors for pancakes that you guys could use. So we'll start with making our mix first. So I have a couple of different flours here that we're going to use. I'm going to show you really quickly too, because this is a good recipe to make with kids as well. And you can teach them how to measure dry ingredients correctly, because a lot of people don't do that correctly, believe it or not. There is sort of a method to it. So I'll show you all that. I have some all-purpose flour here and whole wheat. So the normal baking mixes are usually just going to be all-purpose, but this one adds a little bit of whole wheat, so it's going to add more fiber and vitamins and minerals to it, which is good. So we're going to add, I'm going to have this recipe today because it's just me here. So I'm going to be doing 2 cups instead of the 4, which is what the recipe calls for. So we're going to do 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'll show you all. I just measure mine straight out of the bag. So I have the flour here. And what you want to do is most people, whenever they're measuring flour, they'll just scoop their measuring cup straight in here like this. But flour can be compacted. So we want to make sure that we scoop it in separately with a spoon. Otherwise, you're going to probably end up with a little bit too much flour, which will give you a denser pancake batter. So we're going to fluff up our flour and get a spoon, and we're just going to kind of spoon it into our measuring cup. And you want to kind of mound it over, and we're going to level it off. So I always tap the top too, just to make sure it all settles and all the air bubbles are out. So I just go over and tap it, and then go over it and level it off. And so this is really important when you're baking, because baking is a science. So you want to make sure that you get it exactly correct. So there's 1 cup. We'll do 1 more. I just have this bowl here to catch the extra flour, since I'm scooping it straight from the bag. And I actually, before I started working for Extension, that was how I measured flour, was just scooping it out of the container or the bag. I never really thought about it as being compacted like you would brown sugar, things like that. Okay, so there's 2 cups of our all-purpose. And then we're going to add 1 cup of the whole wheat flour. This mix, you can keep it in your pantry for probably up over a month. The only thing on here that's not going to be super stable is the whole wheat flour, because it has a little bit of fat in it. It will get stale. So a lot of people will keep their whole wheat flour in the refrigerator for that reason. So you'll want to make sure that you use this up within a month, but you can keep it in your pantry until then.
Well, that's good to know, Kendall, because I keep mine in the pantry.
I do too. Okay, so next we're going to add baking powder and baking soda, just as leavening agents. It's going to make our pancakes nice and fluffy. And then we're going to add a little bit of sugar, just 1/3 of a cup. And that's optional. You don't have to add sugar in here. If you don't prefer a sweeter pancake, you could even cut it back too if you don't want to use as much. Or you can use a sugar substitute, either one. Oops. Okay, so I'm just gonna whisk this all together. And at this point, you could put a lid on here, store it in your pantry, and keep it, like I said, for up to a month. But I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna start making our pancake mixes. So I'm gonna put this to the side and we'll start mixing. So I'm just gonna start with the basic recipe on here. So that is going to use 1 cup of this mix. So I will scoop out 1 cup. And so you can just kind of keep this in your pantry and use it whenever you want to make pancakes. You can also use this as like a Bisquick substitute if you're making other things. I was telling Elena the other day, my husband loves sausage balls, and I always use the recipe that uses Bisquick for sausage balls at Christmas time. And I never use Bisquick, so I only really use it during the holidays. And I always find myself on Christmas Eve looking for Bisquick because I find that I don't have enough. But one time I didn't want to go to the store on Christmas Eve, and I looked up a recipe like this and made it. It worked just the same. So it's also a lot cheaper than buying those baking mixes because they're just so simple. So we have 1 cup of our master mix. To this, we're going to add an egg. So if I can. So 1 egg. And then we're going to add some milk. We are adding 3/4 of a cup of milk. And
Now, could you use the milk substitute, Kendall?
Do what?
Could you use a milk substitute like almond milk or any other, type of thing like that?
Yeah, you can use any kind of milk you want. You could probably even use water in this if you wanted to.
Okay.
Just need some kind of liquid. So I'm using low-fat milk here, 3/4 of a cup. And then we're gonna add some vanilla and some cinnamon, and that will be our basic recipe. So from this, you can just make plain pancakes, or you can add some flavors and do different types or different variations. What we are gonna be doing, so we'll just mix this up. And you just want to mix this until it's incorporated. You don't really want to over mix it, and it's probably going to be a little lumpy, and that's totally fine. So just until it's all come together and the egg is all mixed in. So this is our basic pancake recipe here. So we could leave it here, or we can add some other things. So for the theme of spring, I thought we would do some spring flavors. So for the first one, I'm gonna do 2. So we'll start out with this one first. We're gonna do a toasted coconut and raspberry pancake.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. So I bought just a bag of plain unsweetened coconut, and I toasted it on the stovetop earlier. So all I did was take some coconut, put it on the stove in a dry pan on about medium heat, and it toast up in just a few minutes. You really want to watch it because it'll burn quickly. So I did that earlier. This really helps to bring out the flavor of the coconut. So you can taste it a little bit better in your pancake batter. And I'll probably just start with a sprinkle of this. I probably won't use all of it. So we'll do that. And then I have some raspberries here. These were on sale, which is the reason why I bought them. And we're just gonna chop them up just a tiny bit so that they kind of incorporate in this batter a little bit easier. I'm just probably gonna do a handful. You could also use any type of berry or frozen ones if you have those. If you do use frozen berries, I would recommend that you thaw them first because they have a lot of water in them. So they're probably going to water down your pancakes quite a bit if you do not thaw them beforehand. And I have learned that the hard way because I like to put frozen blueberries in a lot of things. And a lot of water is in those. So we're just gonna add those in there. And then the last thing I'm gonna add is this coconut flavoring. I just have this in my pantry. I buy stuff like this every now and then never find other reasons to use it. So it's a good way to
I understand that.
those flavors is in muffins and quick breads and things. So we'll just add that in. And that's really going to help to add a lot more coconut flavor in here too. Because we already have our toasted coconut, but this is just really going to add extra coconut flavor. Actually, I think I'm going to add a few more raspberries in here. And I'll probably save some to put on top at the end too. Some extra coconut and raspberries. And then I have a griddle over here that's preheated that I'm just going to spray, and we're going to put something on here. And while those are cooking, we'll make the next one. So usually whenever I make pancakes, I will use an ice cream scoop to put on there just to make sure that they're all the same size. This recipe recommends that you use a 1/3 cup to make the pancakes. So this is probably pretty close to a 1/3 of a cup. So this is what we're going to use. So I'm going to spoon some of these on here and get those going. And you always know when it's time to flip your pancake when you start to see bubbles forming. So we'll just keep an eye on those while we're mixing up the next batch. I think I might actually need to turn up this heat a little bit. Okay. So for the next one, we're going to be doing lemon poppy seed. So I will quickly make this next basic mix. Oops. Where's my cup at? So any questions so far or comments? Do you all make your own pancakes from scratch or do you all use a mix?
I use a combination of both. Sometimes I'm too lazy to make it up and I'll go buy something.
Yeah, I used to always use Bisquick for pancakes. It never occurred to me that I could just make them myself and it was that easy. Until I didn't have Bisquick and I made them myself. But yeah, I mean, it does take out a couple minutes of prep. So it is convenient to have it, but it is very easy just to make your own pancakes. So we've got our 1 cup. I'm just gonna add the egg in here. Oops, dropped a shell. And then we're gonna add our milk. So again, 3/4 of a cup of any kind of milk you want to use. And then we'll add our vanilla. So for this one, I'm going to be using poppy seeds, some lemon extract that I had in my pantry, and a little bit of lemon zest to make our lemon poppy seed. Looks like our pancakes are almost ready to flip over here. So I'm going to flip those really quick. And this recipe makes 6 pancakes, and they're a pretty good size. So I think I only have 5 over here. Okay, so we'll grab our other ingredients here. So again, I have just had this lemon extract in my pantry because I bought it for a recipe, never used it for anything else. So we're gonna use it today. Probably add just like a half a table or teaspoon or so. And then we'll do some poppy seeds. I'm gonna start with a tablespoon and see what that looks like. And then we're gonna add a little bit of lemon zest. And this is optional. You're gonna get most of the lemon flavor from that lemon extract, but this will add a little bit extra if you have a lemon on hand. We'll just do the zest of maybe half of this lemon.
That'll give it a nice flavor too.
Yes, I love to use citrus zest in all kinds of things. It really just adds like an extra depth of flavor that you don't get. I usually use it in a lot of salad dressings that I make at home. And it just really gives it a boost. That was something that I just never really used or thought about using until probably the past year or so. And it really makes a big difference. You wouldn't think that it would.
Do you think you could use lemon juice with that?
Yeah, you can add some lemon juice in here. You probably would just replace some of the milk with that, so that you have that ratio. But yes, you could absolutely use lemon juice, especially if you don't have that lemon extract in your pantry. Okay, so it looks like a tablespoon of poppy seeds was plenty. So I'm not going to add any more. And I'm going to actually move you all over so you can see our pancakes over here. They're nice and golden. Okay. Hang on. All right. So these are probably almost done. Check the under part. Yeah, I think these are done. So we're gonna pull
Those look delicious.
They smell really good. I wish you all were here so I could share with you all. Pancakes is one of the things that I make for dinner when I cannot think of anything else, or if I don't have much groceries in my house, I can almost always make pancakes. So we're just gonna spray this again. And we'll get an ice cream scoop. So some other things or other flavors you could make with this would be, obviously you could do like banana and chocolate chips, or banana and peanut butter. You could do blueberry. You can add any types of nuts or seeds. Honestly, anything that you have laying around in your refrigerator or pantry, you could find some way to incorporate it into this pancake. And depending on what you add, especially with nuts and seeds, you're going to be adding a lot of extra protein, some vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, just to give a little bit more of a boost to these. Because all this really is mostly grains, a little bit of protein with that egg that we added. So I'm going to plate up this first one while these cook and show you all what we have. Actually, let me go grab an extra plate really quickly.
I missed the part. Did she say that the master mix can be used like Bisquick?
As far as I understand, yes.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
use it in place of Bisquick. So you can make other things other than pancakes with this.
Good. I'm gonna make
Here's a recipe that
some
I
of this.
for Bisquick. I used to make a pizza with it when I was in college all the time. And there's a million recipes on the Betty Crocker website that uses Bisquick. So if you want to
Yeah.
find ways to use it,
Well, Bisquick's not cheap anyway, but what goes in it for what your master mix is, which is the same thing, is stuff we already have.
a box of Bisquick is like $5 or $6, isn't it? At the grocery.
Mhm.
And all it is
Yep.
flour and baking powder, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot cheaper to make your own, and it's just as easy.
I will be doing this.
This recipe is 67 cents. So it's very
Wow.
inexpensive, something that you can do pretty much anytime with things that you already have in your pantry.
Hmm.
As long as you have some milk and eggs to add to it, you can make pancakes anytime. So you can kind of see we have some bubbles forming on our pancakes. So that tells us,
Mhm.
ooh, it's time to flip. And they smell really good. Lemon poppy seed is one of my favorite muffin flavors. And they smell just like lemon poppy seed muffins. Okay, so let this
Mm.
a couple extra minutes. So to make this a meal, we're gonna add a couple extra things. We cooked up some breakfast sausage links earlier, so you can serve that with your pancakes. You can serve it with yogurt on top. So while you were cooking too, I was gonna go over the different types of maple syrup that's at the grocery store really quickly. Because most people are probably gonna put maple syrup on their pancakes. So I'm gonna move you all back over. Actually, let me clean up my mess a little bit. My workspace is a disaster right now. So let me move it out of the way.
Hey, that's normal for me. I mean, that's just like home.
Yeah. If you didn't make a mess, did you really do anything?
That's right.
Okay. So I have 3 different syrups over here that I was going to show you all. Let me just check on my pancakes real quick, make sure I'm not burning them. Okay, they're probably almost done. I'm going to move you all back. You can see I've spilled flour everywhere, but here is our pancake. So I added a little extra coconut and raspberries to them, just to make them pretty. And then I have some sausage links. So the last thing we're gonna do is probably top it with syrup. So I have a sugar-free here. This is just the Kroger one and the original. And then I also bought some 100% maple syrup. So this is real maple syrup. And a lot of people don't really realize this pancake syrup that you usually get at the grocery store is just maple flavored corn syrup. That's how it's so thick. So if you look at, let me autofocus this. If you look at the ingredients, you can see the first thing is high fructose corn syrup. Second one is corn syrup. So this is just maple flavored corn syrup. But if you look at the other one, look at the ingredients, it's maple syrup. So this is going to be probably a better choice if you, depending on what your goals and things are, because honestly, the calories of this are pretty much the exact same. So this one, if you look at the serving size, is 2 tablespoons. This one's a 1/4 cup. So there's 4 tablespoons and a 1/4 cup. So if you double this, serving size is 220. This one's 210. So they're virtually the same. But this one's going to be actually real maple syrup, which in my opinion is probably a better option. The other thing is the price difference between these is a lot. So this is probably, I think I paid like $5.50 for this. And this is probably, I don't know, a couple dollars or something. But that's how this is so much cheaper, is because it's just flavored corn syrup. So that's why it's good to read your labels so you're aware of what you're actually eating, because I never knew that, probably until don't know, maybe 5 or so years ago, that pancake syrup was just corn syrup.
My mother used to make pancake syrup with maple flavoring and white sugar and a little bit of brown sugar to add some flavoring. We
Yeah.
never had, we weren't, it was too expensive for us to buy the maple
It is expensive.
syrup.
Yeah, and like there, if you really look though, you can find, I mean, you can probably buy it locally here, honestly, from certain people, or you can find good deals. I buy mine at Costco. I can get a big quart of it for $10. So depending on where you buy it, the price is going to vary on this, but it does last quite a while because I find you don't have to use as much of this. The consistency of it is very different. It's a lot more runny than the pancake syrup, and you do have to refrigerate this after you open it. But I mean, it's not something that you're probably going to use every day. So for some people, spending a few extra dollars on real maple syrup might be worth it. For some people, it may not. So again, it's just about your preferences, maybe the budget that you're working with. But yeah, so here's our final pancakes. Here's the lemon poppy seed ones that I just finished. So a couple things on this, tips and tricks on this master mix, or really just in general. If you have leftover pancakes, so I live in a household of 2 people. It's just my husband and I. So I don't need to make a full batch of pancakes, but I do because you can put them in the freezer and pull from them anytime. So any leftovers I have, I put in the freezer in a freezer safe bag, and then you can just pop them in the toaster or the microwave and reheat them at any time. Some other things I already mentioned about the whole wheat flour, storing it in the refrigerator, because this does have a limited shelf life, even though it's mostly dry ingredients. Oh, another variation is banana. So I talked about making banana pancakes. If you have overripe bananas that you're looking to get rid of, you can mash those in this pancake mix and make a banana variation. It's a good way to use those overripe bananas. Yeah, so pretty much it. You guys have any comments or questions?
So were you going to say something about the grades of the syrup? Or was that just?
Oh, how it says grade A on here?
Yeah.
That is a good question. I've never seen anything other than grade A, honestly, for maple syrup. You notice that that's on eggs a lot too, grade A. And that has something to do with the way that it is harvested or like the way that the chickens are raised. I'm not sure exactly the details, but I can definitely get back to you on that. But that's just a marketing thing. I mean, there was only 2 options for these at Kroger, and they were both grade A. The only difference was this one is an amber color and the other one was darker. So I would assume that one probably would be a little bit more intense in flavor, but they were the same price. So it didn't make too much of a difference. But
Well,
yeah.
thank you for that. I'm going to also look online to see why they rate it grade A, because it's always been something that I've always, well, what makes it a grade A?
Yeah, you'll notice
Um,
look up like cage-free, organic, natural. All of those have certain qualifications on the way that a product is produced or raised or processed. And looking that up can be really interesting because a lot of times they don't really mean anything. It's just a marketing tool to get you to think that you're making good choices, when in reality, it really doesn't make any sort of change. But yeah, definitely look those up because it is good to know. Just like reading your labels and looking at the ingredients, knowing that those marketing terms and what they mean can be really helpful, because a lot of times natural products are going to be more expensive than the regular ones. But if you know that it really doesn't make a difference, then you're spending that extra money for no reason. So it's good to know those terms, definitely. Any other comments or questions?
those pancakes look delicious. I'm gonna have to try to make some.
They smell really good. So just another reminder, I put the Qualtrics link in the chat. So if you don't care to click on that and to complete the survey, I'll also post it on Facebook later so you can find it there. If you do make this recipe, take pictures and post it on our Facebook page. Let me know how you like it. Or if you thought of other flavors or variations that you want to share, you can share them. I'd like to know. And then the month or the recipe for next month is these chicken tacos. So this is what we're gonna be making next time. Again, I'll
Ooh.
put that on Facebook.
Tacos.
If you want to get the ingredients and make it alongside, definitely do that. And you'll have a nice lunch to eat afterwards. All right, if you all don't
That
have,
sounds like a plan.
yeah, we love tacos here, so we're gonna be excited about that one. But if you guys don't have any other comments or questions, I'll end the meeting and I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you, Kendall.
That was so informative. I never knew you could make lemon.
I'm gonna go back there and taste it when I'll let you know how it is,
All
Annette.
All right, thank you all. I'll see you later.
All right, have a good day, guys.
You too.